Hey guys, in this video I want to give you my uncensored opinion on Wendler's 531. Wendler's 531. Before I get into that topic, guys, I encourage you to check out my new book. It is called Massive Iron. It is linked below. It is filled with about 20 programs, 20 workout programs. It also contains a set of principles and tools that will help you maximize nearly any workout system, including Wendler's 531. So please check out my book if you're not satisfied with your muscle and strength building results. Again, it is linked below. So I've had a couple thoughts on Wendler's 531 that I've been meaning to share for quite some time. Let me caveat these thoughts with a few notes before I begin. First off, Wendler's 531 is a decent program. I believe, and anybody that knows me knows, that nearly any program can be maximized if you use it correctly. With that said, there are a couple aspects of 531 that I'm not a fan of. Now, 531 is typically recommended for you on forums and on the internet, on Facebook or whatever. You see a lot of people recommending 531 for beginners or late beginners or even earlier intermediates. So this video is primarily for people who are recommending, this video is primarily for the beginners to early intermediates, and why I don't think a couple of aspects of 531 are right for them. The first aspect is periodization. Lifters during their first several years of training do not need complicated periodization. They really don't need any periodization. When you go to the gym, you need to focus on progressive overload using a reasonably structured program. You certainly could do periodization. There's simply no need to periodize. Periodization is usually incorporated to cycle intensity or weight loads. As a beginner to early beginner to late late beginner to earlier intermediate lifter, the weight loads you are using are not demanding enough that you really need to incorporate any form of periodization at all. It is better off that you listen to your body, and if you start to feel beat down or worn down, that you simply take a few extra days of rest and recovery, or take a deload week every, say, 8 to 12 weeks. You certainly don't need to periodize. With that said, you can periodize, and it's not going to negatively impact your training. I just think it's simply overcomplication. This point in itself isn't a reason not to use Wendler's 531, but it certainly is far too over. It certainly isn't needed. You don't need to periodize your training, your workouts, your intensities during your first several years of training. The second point is a more important point, and that has to do with frequent deloading. Wendler's has you deloading every fourth week. I think this is a colossal waste of time for lifters in their first several years of training. If you do the math, deloading every fourth week means during an entire lifting year, you are deloading 3 months out of that year. Again, this is a colossal waste of time. It's a colossal waste of progress. Beginning to early intermediate lifters do not need to deload this frequently. They do not need to deload this frequently, even if they are cycling intensity. This is not needed. It's a waste of time, and it stunts progress. You, if you are in your first several years of training, need to go in, focus on progressive overload, and if your body starts to feel beat up, and I just stressed this in the previous point, then you need to take a few extra days of rest and recovery, or possibly take a deload week. At maximum, if you're training properly and not beating yourself up with 40 sets per workout, I would say you don't need a week off from the gym any more frequently than once every 8 to 12 to 16 weeks when you're in your first 2 years of training. As you progress and get stronger, the need to deload or maybe cycle intensities with something like nonlinear periodization becomes more of a necessity. But for guys in their first couple years of lifting, deloading every fourth week is lunacy, in my opinion. Now, could you run Wendlers without deloading? Yes, I think it's actually a better way of running Wendlers if you're in your first couple of years of training. I'd rather see you do your first 3 weeks and then skip the deload and go back to week 1, week 2, and week 3 again. And then maybe on your 9th week you could deload, or on your 12th week you could deload, or on your 15th week you could deload. I wouldn't insert a deload unless you feel like you're in need of it. Again, if you deload every 4th week like clockwork, you're basically taking out 3 months of your training program and cutting 3 months of progress out of your first year of lifting, or cutting 6 months of progress out of your first 2 years of lifting. And guys, this is absolute lunacy in my opinion. Wendler's is a good program, but if I were training someone using it, I would definitely drop the forced deloads, and I would probably not, I would probably recommend that they use a nonlinear periodization, like alternating between a moderate and a heavy week, or heavier week, not super heavy, but a moderate and heavier week every other week, instead of doing a cycling of intensities over 3 weeks. So guys, that's my uncensored opinion on Wendler's 531. Guys, thanks for watching. I'd encourage you to check out my new book called Massive Iron. It is linked below. It provides principles and tools that will help you maximize any workout, from Wendler's 531 to any training split you find in bodybuilding magazines. So please check out my new book. Again, it is linked below. And guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.